Hey there. Happy Thursday, everyone. Dr. Sabrina Starling. I'm the business psychologist, as well as the author of the How to Hire the Best series and the soon to be released book, The 4-Week Vacation. Today, I want to come to you and talk about something that has been on the mind of business owners everywhere, and that is the hiring challenges that already exist. Now, there's a lot of talk about something called the Great Resignation happening across our country. And so this comes from multiple studies that have been done, but the one that's being talked about the most is a Microsoft study that showed that 41% of employees are considering leaving their job in the next year. This is really serious for us as small business owners because many of you have made it through COVID and you have adapted and you've adjusted, and now you are seeing opportunity to grow. And what's limiting you is the team members, finding and hiring great team members. And now, coupled with that, looking at the possibility that your existing team members, your really good A players, may actually be considering leaving their jobs. So I want to dig into this and then talk with you about solutions. And as I go through this, I want to share with you, there is no Band-Aid solution to this. There's nothing that I'm going to share with you in the next 10 minutes that's going to be a quick fix that will solve this problem for you once and for all. I will tell you the underlying solution that is there that will require a strategic, intensive focus in your business going forward. And when you work on addressing this, it will up-level the quality of your team and put your business on a trajectory to grow going forward with good team members. But you won't be able to turn this around overnight. It's going to take some focus and intention. So first off, understand, why would team members be looking at leaving at this point? Well, because of COVID, we have all dealt with crazy things in our lives that we never anticipated we would be dealing with. And so every one of us across the country has found ourselves in situations that we've had to learn, flex, and adapt to. So people who normally would never consider leaving their job have figured out, you know what? I've figured out how to make do in a variety of strange circumstances. I can make do in a different circumstance. If I'm not happy in my job, I don't need to stay. And on top of that, there has been a lot of built up stress because team members in businesses that have had team members who are out due to COVID, or you've had to scale back the business significantly, those team members who have stayed have shouldered a lot of responsibility. So burnout is a real thing. We're all experiencing some level of burnout from how long COVID has gone on, and we've had to adapt. And so people are really evaluating life and what matters to them in their lives. We have people who have learned to get by with less and to consume less and figure out how to make do. And so there's a great shift that's happening in the mindset of our country around where work fits in. And honestly, for myself, I really believe work supports life, not the other way around. And I think there is a lot of good that is coming from the whole country paying more attention to work needs to have meaning, and work has a certain role in our life, but it does not run our life. So that is really good. The downside of it, though, is team members are looking around in the businesses that they work in and they're saying, am I happy here? Am I fulfilled here? Am I willing to put my time is our most precious resource. Am I willing to give my time to this business? Do they deserve it? And so those are hard questions as employers. We have to think about, if our employees are looking at our business and saying, is this business worthy of my lifetime? And they're coming up with no, that's a big concern. So that brings me to, what do we as small business owners do about this? How do we respond, and what opportunities does it create for us? So first and foremost, it's really important to have an understanding of the A players who you have on your team and that you want to attract in the future. What is a great place to work for them? What factors go in to creating a great place to work? Why do people who go to work and who are happy, what is it that's going on in their jobs that make them happy, that give them satisfaction? So Some factors to consider. A players want to do work with great teams. They want to work with other A players. So it's actually better. It's in your best interest not to keep poor team members on just to do a little bit of the work, because they're actually making life more difficult for you and for the other A players on your team. So you really want to raise the bar of who you allow on your team, and think of your team as a precious resource that you have to protect. And if you allow poor performing team members to stick around, it's kind of like spraying A player repellent all over your business. That's no good. So A players want to work with other good people, and they want meaningful work that where they understand that they're making a contribution. So if you have a clearly defined sweet spot in your business, and you have top clients and customers that you're serving, and you're really clear on what it is that your business does for them, what problems it's solving for them, and you can create a story around that, and you position your team as the heroes in the story, and you give every team member a story worth telling. I remember I interviewed Brian Gottlieb of Tundraland Home Improvement out of Wisconsin when I wrote the How to Hire the Best, the entrepreneur or the contractor's ultimate guide to attracting top performing team members. He said, we give every employee a story worth telling. And that means they need to understand where they fit in the big picture, that they're not just showing up and doing tasks and earning a paycheck, but there needs to be a significant why. Why is it that what you're doing is important, and how are your employees the hero of the story? Beyond that, one of the greatest ways that you will build loyalty amongst your team, and that's really what's important here, is loyalty, because people won't leave for a higher paycheck and go to work at some place that has poor management just because the paycheck's higher. They might do it and they might realize very quickly, oh, that was a bad decision. I want to come back and be a part of this great team. One of the things that you need to do is that everybody on the team needs to feel like somebody in this business has their back and is looking out for their best interest. You want every team member to be having a one-to-one meeting with a supervisor or someone to whom they directly report. That one-to-one meeting should happen either weekly or every other week at a minimum, 15, 20 minutes. And it's a dedicated time where someone is checking in with that team member and saying, how are things going? What support do you need? How can we support you in doing your job better? And also checking in on what's going on in that team member's personal life and being a part of their just overall support system. These one-to-one meetings also create opportunities for you to be aligning team members with their strengths. So checking in to see what parts of their work are not aligned with their strengths and what parts do they really enjoy. And then looking at how can you create more and more opportunities to work from their strengths. People are happiest when they know exactly what's expected of them. So there's a clear result that they're responsible for. When they have support in doing their job, and when they feel like they don't have the tools or the resources or the training that they need to do their job, they have someone else on the team that they can go to and talk to about that. That feeling of there's expectations of me here and I don't know how to meet them is a big setup for burnout among your team members. And it's one of the things that will get them quickly looking for other opportunities outside of your business. So the one-to-ones really start to build that sense of I matter here. Beyond that, building that safe, supported team so that when things go wrong, because in small business, they go wrong all the time. It's kind of typical, things happen, that the team is looking at what can we do to improve our systems rather than who are we going to point fingers at that caused this problem. So when there's that mentality on the team that let's look at systems first before we identify problematic people, team members feel safe coming forward with their concerns, and it brings about this sense of we're all here working for the greater good. So let's improve and hone and refine our systems. So what I want you to understand is that A players are looking for meaningful work They want to make a contribution. They want to be a part of a good team. They want to know why what they do matters on that team. They also want an appreciation for their work-life balance. Part of the Great Resignation is that so many team members have learned how to work virtually, and they experience themselves as having better work-life balance and being more productive when they're able to work from home or from another location and not having to be in the office all of the time. Now, the challenge with that is that a lack of physical contact and presence in the office has broken down social ties, and people just don't feel as connected. So that's another piece of the Great Resignation, is people just don't feel connected to their coworkers. So when you take the time and you create opportunities, even if it happens virtually, where team members are getting to know one another and having the opportunity to share wins and successes, not just in work, but in their personal lives as well, that makes people feel more connected to one another, and it's the glue that holds a team together. So be looking for opportunities for how can you create more connection among your team members, even if you're having to do it in a virtual world. So, virtual happy hours, things that you do as a team that have nothing to do with work. Maybe you have team members get together and share their hobbies and show off what they've done in their personal lives that they're really proud of. This creates an opportunity for people to get to know each other on a personal level. And it's those connections that would normally take place around a water cooler that are not happening in a virtual space, that are making people feel less and less connected to their jobs. So look for those opportunities for how you can support your team. And if you have the opportunity for even part of a team member's job to be done virtually, work with them on figuring out how that will work and go along with what's happening within the office at that time. So your job, your mission really is going forward to be an employer of choice for the A players you want on your team. So that means digging in and finding out what is it for your A players that makes a great place to work. I've shared with you today some things that are pretty standard across the board, but you have A players on your team. Ask them, talk with them, and then ask them what they appreciate most about their job currently. So you're getting a sense of what is our reality right here and what is their vision for what a great place to work would look like for them. And if there's a gap, invite them into helping you figure out how to bridge that gap and make a better and better workplace. When you're thinking about what do the A players I want on my team need in a great place to work, and you're working towards creating that in your business, you're setting yourself up to be an employer of choice to attract the A players that you want to have on your team. And this is part of developing a system to hire and attract and retain A players. One of the interesting findings that's come out of our research at Tap the Potential on the state of entrepreneurship is that 89% of small business owners have no system for attracting top performing team members. 81% have no system for retaining top performing team members. So right here today, I'm giving you the vision of becoming that employer of choice and starting to create your system for doing that so that you retain the A players that you have on your team, but also in working with them, you get to understand them better, and you can use that information to understand how you can attract more A players to your team as you need to hire. So I also want to let you know, along those same lines, I have my How to Hire the Best course coming up here very quickly in October. This is a great time to jump in. We have the link at the bottom of the screen. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to tapthepotential.com/course. This is the course where I teach you how to become an employer of choice, to not just attract A players, but also retain A players and create a great place to work. Those business owners who go through our course and who complete 90% of the action items actually get featured in Tap the Potential's Great Place to Work Spotlight. And when you're featured in our Great Place to Work Spotlight, you get a logo that you get to use on your website and your recruiting materials that you have been acknowledged as a great place to work. I'm confident in putting you in that spotlight when you go through the course and complete 90% of the action items, because as you go through the course, it's a 5-week course, and there's action items from week to week, and they build on each other. So they help you build your actual recruiting system that you're going to use to attract A players to your team. And everything that I teach in that course aligns with the psychology of A players. So one of the things you need to know, and why hiring in general is tough, even without COVID, is that the traditional hiring practices that most of us follow set us up to mishire 75% of the time. And the reason they set us up to mishire 75% of the time is that they don't align with the psychology and behavior of A players. A players are hardly ever unemployed, reading job ads and scrolling Indeed. They're usually working elsewhere. So your mission really is to become that employer of choice, to get in front of them and attract their attention so that they recognize they have a great place to work and they have a great opportunity there. So the work really for you as a business owner to make sure that you're able to go after the growth opportunities you want is to do the work on your business and work on the culture. So there's so much more that I can share with you on this, but I promise you, if you leave here today with the intention to go talk to your best team members and ask them what they appreciate most about working for you and what a great place to work looks like in their mind, and you can see if there's a gap, or if there's not a gap, celebrate that and then start systematizing the things that you're doing right. You will be on the path to becoming an employer of choice, and you're starting to do the work that you need to do on your culture to not just attract A players, but retain them on your team. And again, if you really want to dig in and you're intent on becoming an employer of choice and creating a great place to work, knowing what it takes to hire A players and aligning with their psychology, I would encourage you to register for my course on how to hire the best. It's coming up very soon here in October. tapthepotential.com/course. Thank you. And share your comments, ask your questions below. Next week, when I come back, I will be happy to take more of your questions around this topic, and tell me what you want to know more about hiring and retaining A players. I would love to help you. I want to set you up for success. Bye for now.